I'm pleased to say that. I'm sad to say it as well, in a sense, because I wish we didn't need to put in more security. We shouldn't need to have security in places of worship. And it's sad that we do, but that just reflects the responsibility on me, on the Home Secretary, to do everything we can to tackle hate crime.
Okay, but let me tell you what's outrageous. That video that we just saw of Slippery Starmer has been dodgily edited, and it didn't show the reality of what was taking place in that mosque. Starmer, see there? Look at that picture. He was actually speaking only to the men, not how it looked in the video. And look in the corner, there are the women in the hijabs and in the burkas, and he doesn't see anything wrong with this. Slippery Starmer is finished. It's now a matter of when, not if, he is forced out as the worst British Prime Minister in history. Labour's implosion in Wales, where a century of wins was finally overturned by the surging Welsh separatists and Reform UK, just confirms what anyone sane already know. But today I can reveal a plot is now underway to ensure that Starmer is replaced by the first Muslim Prime Minister in British history, with Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, now the favoured candidate. Indeed, Labour's biggest concern at the moment is the fact they see the Muslim vote slipping away to the now Islamist populist Green Party under Zack Polanski, and this new mob being formed by Jeremy Corbyn and Zarah Sultana. So we're going to see many more stunts like this.
I'm here today at the Peacehaven Mosque with the Prime Minister. The attack on this mosque a few weeks ago was an appalling crime, and I have met with those who were impacted that night and heard of the terror that they all felt. What is clear is this could have so easily led to an even more devastating outcome. It is appalling that my community, the Muslim community, faces such appalling levels of hate in the country that we love. And it is why I am here today to announce an additional £10 million to protect Muslim communities across the UK, strengthening security at our places of worship so we can practice our faith safely and without fear. I am proud of this country because of the rights that we have. The right to follow your conscience and the faith of your choosing. The right to live free from hatred and from fear, whoever you might be. But that right has to be defended. Violence directed at any faith or community is an attack on us all, and we must stand together in solidarity against those who seek to divide us.
I'm so sorry that we're meeting in these circumstances, because that was a horrific attack that will have impacted every single member of the community. We've just been talking to some of the family members and getting a sense firsthand of the personal impact. I'm really pleased today that we are announcing a further £10 million to support our mosques on top of the support we've already put in. I'm pleased to say that. I'm sad to say it as well, in a sense, because I wish we didn't need to put in more security. We shouldn't need to have security in places of worship. And it's sad that we do, but that just reflects the responsibility on me, on the Home Secretary, to do everything we can to tackle hate crime.
Okay, but let me tell you what's outrageous. That video that we just saw of Slippery Starmer has been dodgily edited, and it didn't show the reality of what was taking place in that mosque. Starmer, see there? Look at that picture. He was actually speaking only to the men, not how it looked in the video. And look in the corner, there are the women in the hijabs and in the burkas, and he doesn't see anything wrong with this. Obviously, deep down he does, but Labour has decided its only hope is trying to secure the Muslim vote, which already slipped away to the sectarians at the last election. That's why he slammed Tory rising star Katie Lamb at the same time for her very fair assertion that multiculturalism has failed.
A Conservative MP from the South East, Katie Lamb, told ITV this week that in her view, multiculturalism has not succeeded in this country. Do you agree with her?
I can't tell you how much I disagree with her. I think that her approach, where people who are lawfully in this country, who have been working in our communities, perhaps in our schools, our hospitals, running businesses, our neighbours, people lawfully here, she wants to reach in and remove them from our country for cultural reasons, she says. That is how far the Conservative Party has sunk.
Gareth Roberts described the scenes as surreal and then rightly surmised he's terrified. Carl Benjamin summed it up this way: please, please vote for Labour, Mr. Muslim. And Nick Buckley said, when you have spent decades telling a community that they are being persecuted even though there is no evidence, eventually the community will believe these lies and feel persecuted. And Connor Tomlinson, who is here very shortly, added, Muslims are recognising just how much Islam fatigue has set in among the British public, which means making excuses for Islam or splitting hairs between hypothetical peaceful Muslims and Islamists. That will soon become an electoral liability. Islam is the problem. It's not the only problem, but it is the most deadly threat to our civilization. But in terms of politics, only the advanced UK leader Ben Habib was prepared to call out the scenes. He posted on X in direct response to Mahmood an inappropriate post from Shabana Mahmood revealing her bias. Freedom of worship applies to everyone. To overtly identify as a Muslim and make the case for Muslims but not people of other faiths is wrong. Bear in mind, this is constitutionally and culturally a Christian country. The Union flag is a Christian flag. As Home Secretary, you should reinforce our Christian roots and values. You have never once spoken of the importance of Christianity in the UK. But the war on the left for that Islam vote actually makes that impossible. As Kelly J. Keane pointed out after watching Zack Polanski's exchange with the truly horrendous extremist Mehdi Hassan, the Green Party is the party of Islam. That will be its main issue, then only issue, within a very short time. Watch.
You have Conservatives, and just in the last 48 hours, I think you've got former Conservative MP Paul Goodman writing in the Telegraph saying Islam has been a problem in Britain for a long time. You have Robert Jenrick, Britain should ban the burqa. You have Claire Coutinho, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, Shadow Education Secretary, I believe she's saying political Islam is a growing problem in this country. Nick Timothy, Conservative Assistant Whip, saying Islamism is now a big force in our society. We need to do something about it. How dangerous is that rhetoric towards Muslims in the UK?
It's phenomenally dangerous, and Islamophobia is rife in our society. And I say this as a Jewish man. There's only been 5 Jewish leaders of a British political party in the last 100 years. So I obviously take anti-Semitism really seriously, but I think it can strike anyone who's paying attention for more than 30 seconds, the amount that we talk about anti-Semitism compared to the amount we talk about Islamophobia. Now, we shouldn't pit these two things against each other. They're two sides of the same coin. And when people hate one minority community, they often hate all minority communities. And I think the best work is when people stick together. But it's really clear to me that when I think, particularly online, of the people with Israeli flags in their profile or pro-Zionist kind of groups, they hate me more than they hate anyone.
So we're in a battle, right, for the heart and soul of our United Kingdom. I know you know it, but our media class remains chronically out of touch, like the fake news agents, literally lying and saying that Brits just love mass immigration. We just love it. We love it, despite having roundly opposed it for 6 decades. Okay, half of you watching this are not subscribed to Dan Wootton Outspoken, and the best way you can support what we do is by hitting that subscribe button. It is completely free, and turn on the notification bell to be alerted to our new episodes.
We sometimes have this narrative that somehow Britain is a kind of uniquely soft touch and that we are uniquely taking loads and loads of people. No, this is a continental-wide problem that probably requires continental-wide solutions, which might have been one of the good reasons to, if we were still in the room when much of this sort of EU border policy is being discussed. But, that's by the by now. But I think it is also true to say that even though it is a small number of people, I think because, actually, I think most British people are relatively pro-immigration in the abstract. I think most British people actually have been, when you consider how big the waves of immigration have been, particularly since COVID, at one point nearing the sort of net migration of nearly 1 million. It's actually extraordinary how sanguine and how accepting the British public overall are about immigrants and about immigration, which I think is precisely why, and Shabana Mahmood has made this argument herself, and I agree with her, it's precisely why irregular migration, which is not controlled, has to be seen to have a zero tolerance policy. Yeah. Because I think the problem is that when you have that sense of lawlessness at the border, what it does is it infect the debate on standard migration, on regular migration, on legal migration, and it metastasizes because you have, bad actors, including people like Tommy Robinson and others, who then use the relatively small number for their own purposes, basically to
smear all immigrants.
Smear and
100%.
demonise the much larger number. So I think
All
that,
I would say, though, is if you got rid of the small boats problem completely, you would not shut down Tommy Robinson. And I think that is the big mistake.
And that is why the elite class want to shut down independent broadcasters, because we are revealing the true cost to our public services because of scenes like this involving migrants, to our health system. And remember, these people shouldn't even be here in the first place.
Or anything like that, but this is what it is, yeah. So they are closing the facility today for illegals to be seen. They were due to have MRI scans and X-rays on Saturday when the protest was taking place, but that was postponed because of to today. They are having X-rays because it's been reported that they are expected to have TB, and many do have. They are pushing ahead of people on the waiting lists. Yeah. So, how long have you been over here? How long have? 1 month. 1 month.
Yeah.
And where have you come from? What country?
What?
What country? Yeah. What country?
My country?
Yeah.
Ethiopia.
What?
Ethiopia.
It's Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
Oh, Ethiopia.
Yeah.
What about you, sir?
Eritrea.
Where?
Eritrea.
Sophia.
No, Eritrea.
I can't understand what you're saying. What about you?
Sudan.
Sudan. Afghanistan and.
Eritrea.
Yeah.
Eritrea.
I can't. What's it?
Eritrea.
Can you say that?
Near of Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, yeah?
Yeah.
Near Ethiopia. Yeah. Oh, and where have you come from, sir? What country have you come from? Sudan, yeah? Oh. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, hello, my friend. So what was your X-rays for today, then? So what was you having the X-ray for today? What was you in the hospital for? Have they given you paperwork? Have you got paperwork?
No paper.
Have any of you got paperwork from the...
So Labour knows it's finished because of scenes like that. But its hopes of staying in power now rest with a hard-left alliance between Corbyn and Sultana, the Greens, and separatist parties like the SNP and Plaid Cymru, who you can see won the Caerphilly Welsh by-election in a massive blow, not just to Labour, but Reform UK too. So tactical voting by the left, and some on the right, kept Farage from winning a seat that was very important to his momentum ahead of Welsh elections in May.
It's Thursday, the 23rd of October. I'm in Caerphilly. This is the by-election day for the Senedd. It'll be the last by-election ahead of the big all-out elections next May. There's no doubt we fought a really big campaign, but Plaid are also fighting a big campaign. The Labour vote has been collapsing, and from all the opinion polls, they say we're just a couple of points ahead. So the stakes today could not be higher. But I'm going to go and leave this campaign office and go and knock on doors and try and get some more voters to come out and vote for Clear Pal.
Didn't happen in the end, and Zia Youssef was right, by the way, to point out the danger of the Welsh hard leftists, who have, of course, received no scrutiny. He wrote, Plaid Cymru call themselves a nationalist party. They're not. They're open borders globalists who don't have the Welsh people's interests at heart. They see Wales as a dumping ground for the third world. They don't even believe illegal immigration exists. But Nigel today was honest. He admitted he thought he would win. Adding, at the start of polling day, I thought that we would get 12,000 votes, and we did. I thought that number would be enough. But it wasn't. The total collapse of the Labour vote to Plaid was to a party that people know well and to a popular local politician. The Senedd elections next year are a two-horse race between Reform UK and Plaid Cymru. Now, as I said, some people on the right did vote for the hard left too to keep Reform out, including Tories, with loyal Conservative Kevin Edgar revealing hearing some Conservative voters in Caerphilly voted against Reform good. If Reform are going to slag off Conservative voters, they're far less likely to lend their vote to you. Reform are not a serious party. It's all stunts, slogans and egos, no actual detailed policies. Dan Hodges argued the result is almost as bad for Reform as Labour, writing, Caerphilly was a disaster for Keir Starmer, but he's toast anyway. The real significance is the emergence of major anti-reform tactical voting. We'll get lots of cheerleading from Nigel Farage and his supporters, but they lost by a pretty comfortable margin. Nadine Dorries and David Bull did try to push back, though, on LBC. Watch.
As a politician, you failed again. David Bull, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Nick. Don't be ridiculous. Of course, we're disappointed by that result. But you're right. Look, if you look back 4 years ago, we got 1.7%. To get 36% is amazing, actually. An extraordinary journey. I actually think that's pretty unprecedented in modern British politics. I think just in terms of the other results, look at Labour. This is a tribally and traditional Labour part of the world. Now, Labour has ruled this part of the world for about 100 years. They got more than that. Yeah. They got 11%. That is derisory. The Tories wiped out down to 2%. They might as well pick up the ball and go home. Now, what we are seeing is actually, I think what the public is saying is we are sick and tired of the way the country is being run, Wales is being run, and what we want is to see a change. And that is what we saw last night. It is a two-party race between Plaid and between us as well. They are abandoning Labour, they're abandoning the Tories.
Plaid is well established in Wales. They've always had a percentage of the vote share. I'm not sure what their vote share increased by, but it is incredible that Reform had 36% of the vote. Do not underestimate the
I hear you, but all the projections and all the ideas coming out of Reform was that it would be a Reform victory yet again, albeit you performed well, but the party has come up short. There's no win, Nadine Dorries.
No, but it's Wales. So personally, I have never said that.
Right.
I've never said that we would win in Wales, and I know a lot of people didn't. I'm not even sure that many people in Reform thought that we would win in Wales. The objective was always, I believe, to do our very best, which we did. If we'd won, that was great, but to come second, I tell you, there will be no tears in Reform today.
The Conservative vote has gone from it was 17% last time out, and it's gone to 2% last night. What will be going on at Conservative Central Command?
Nick, when I defected to Reform, I was the first person to say the Tory party is dead. It's dead. And I think that figure last night shows it's over.
What is increasingly clear to me is that the left are not only going to use tactical voting, they are also going to use American-style Antifa tactics to do anything to keep Farage from power. Threats like this are now becoming commonplace. But first, let me hit you with a stat that's honestly terrifying. Data breaches worldwide jumped 211% from 2023 to 2024, driven by 5 massive mega breaches. That's millions of people's private info spilled in one go. It could easily include you, phone number, home address, even health data. And here's the kicker. Once your data's out, it doesn't just disappear. Data brokers and people's search sites keep buying it and selling it. So anyone from scammers to stalkers to nosy employers can dig up your life in just a few clicks. That's why I use Incogni. In a space crowded with shady players, Incogni stands out as the proven solution, independently verified by Deloitte, to actually remove personal data from hundreds of broker sites and private databases, send regular follow-ups, and track real confirmation responses. Think of it like hitting delete on your online footprint. So create your account and give Incogni the bare minimum to find your exposed profiles. Authorize them just once to act on your behalf, then start removing your info and keep at it so it doesn't pop back up. And here's the power move. Custom removals on the unlimited plan. If you see a page anywhere publishing your details like court record portals, company databases, people search results, drop the exact link into your Incogni dashboard and their privacy team takes it down for you beyond the automated list. Unlimited links handled by specialists. It's hassle-free, it's effective, and it buys you real peace of mind. They can't harm you if they can't find you. I use this every month, and it is so hassle-free, but really important to my life. So don't wait for the next breach. Go to incogni.com/outspoken right now and get 60% off an annual plan. That's incogni.com/outspoken. Protect yourself, your family, and your future. Just click on the link in the description box below. Now, back to the show.
Who do you vote for?
No one who ever gets in.
Yeah.
No one who ever gets in.
Yeah. So you what about reform? You like reform?
Starmer to a joking, isn't it?
I don't really know much about politics.
I'm going to see the doctor soon, and soon, if it fits fatal, I know where Farage lives, and I'll probably go and take him out.
Will ya?
I've thought about it. I worked at his house many years ago before he was famous.
Yeah?
And when his name come up, I went back to the old company, dug out the papers, and it was him. He was walking around while I'm doing the painting, he's walking around like this. And I'm thinking, fuck me, he's watching everything. And I then dropped one of the workers off it. When I suddenly realised he wasn't, he was looking at the stars, looking up at the sky.
So right now,
during his speech.
Right now, Farage walks down to you, he says, let's have it, me and you. Who wins? Who walks away?
Oh, I would.
You reckon?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I heard he can have it though.
Who?
Farage.
I could do you one.
Could you?
Yeah.
Are you like ex-forces?
I'd just smash you in the throat.
What with?
My hands.
Oh, what? And then you stop breathing, didn't you?
Hold on.
That was good.
I'm 84.
Oh, no, I'm joking.
Work it out.
But yeah.
I can do it. I've done it.
I shall leave you gentlemen to your discussions.
See you later.
See you later.
Nice to meet you. But no, are you up for anything?
Nope.
Sure?
Yep.
Okay, see you later.
It's not actually funny, it's a direct threat to life. He should be arrested. But the regime media are a huge part of this problem. And they haven't given up on a major curveball to keep Labour in power. That major curveball, according to Sly News' completely corrupted political editor, Beth Rigby, is the return of disgraced Angela Rayner. She posted, Angela Rayner makes her first public appearance since quitting high office. Her personal statement in the Commons as much about her determination to fight on as a reflection to why she has to leave government. The comeback begins. She then posted this North Korean-style propaganda report.
This was an honestly made mistake, but when you make a mistake, you take responsibility.
Yeah. Now, you might remember this story.
There is no excuse not to pay taxes owed, and I will do so.
Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Labour leader and one of the most powerful women in British politics, sensationally forced to quit office over her tax affairs. Today she's back in the Commons to deliver her resignation speech to MPs, her supporters out in force as she went back to her first principles.
I know the power of politics, Mr. Speaker, to change lives because it changed my own.
OK, so let's take a step back. What went wrong for Rayner? Well, look, in a nutshell, she had a complicated family arrangement on her family home in the northwest, which she had, in effect, put into a trust for her disabled son. So when she bought a new place on the south coast, she didn't think she needed to pay second home stamp duty. That was wrong. It meant she underpaid her tax bill by about £40,000. But she told me it was an honest mistake in an interview that we did before she was forced to resign over breaking the ministerial code.
Well, I made a mistake based upon the advice that I relied upon, that I received at the time. People make mistakes, but I conducted myself in trying to do the right thing. And I hope that people can see that.
Now, the Griff report analysed Beth there, writing, Beth Rigby proving yet again she's a client journalist with this video she did for her mate Angie. Yeah, she's calling her Angie. No one else calls her Angie, apart from Beth Rigby, hoping to help pave the way for her mate, saying it was an honest mistake. This kind of, quote, journalist is an absolute disgrace, trying to make light of Angela Rayner's tax dodging, hoping that a little time away can forgive and forget, just like when Beth herself went away after breaking COVID rules, hoping we would forgive and forget. We didn't, and we won't. Beth, stop shilling for your mate and act like a real journalist and get some bloody integrity. Everyone is actually cringing at your fawning over that crook. And it actually got worse. It actually got worse. Watch.
And now, having quit high office, triggered a major cabinet reshuffle, as well as a deputy Labour leadership race, Angie Rayner is back. And this statement is the beginning, if you like, of the Rayner rebuild.
Despite the fierce criticism and the relentless lobbying from vested interests, I'm so proud, Mr. Speaker, that within weeks our landmark employment rights bill will become law.
Yeah. And signalling there is plenty more fight in her yet, as colleagues eye Rayner's return at some point to the top table.
As tough as politics can be, it is nothing compared to what thousands of my constituents and this country face every single day. Yeah. Backbench or front bench, elected office is not about us, but about our chance to change the lives of others. And from wherever I sit on these benches, I will fight with everything I have to do exactly that.
And now, Connor Tomlinson. Okay, Connor, so there's that election result overnight, and yeah, it's disastrous for Labour, but it does show the power of the hard left in being able to unite and tactically block out Reform UK under a first-past-the-post system. But what is most fascinating to me is Labour's desperate bid to win back the Muslim vote. And we saw it yesterday, these astonishing scenes of Keir Starmer sitting in that mosque. You know, he's meant to be a leftist, right? There he is, surrounded by only men, the women in the corner, Connor, in their hijabs, in their burkas. And then there's this plot. And the plot is now very obvious amongst the Labour left for it to be Shabana Mahmood who succeeds Keir Starmer and becomes the UK's first Muslim Prime Minister. What's happening?
Yeah, the women were just missing their dunce hats, Dan. I mean, I think Keir Starmer would be interested to know. Well, he'd be interested to know just how many verses in the Quran and Hadith say that hell is filled with women and that they are the perennial temptresses that have waylaid Muhammad on his path to total sanctification, and therefore they are second-class citizens and their testimony should be weighed half that of a man's. We just don't do that in this country. We've never treated our women this way. I recommend people read Alan McFarlane's book, The Origins of English Individualism, to see that the average age of marriage was in its 20s, back as far as the Middle Ages. Women could own property under common law, and we've always had a sort of good respect between the sexes that just isn't present in the Muslim world, which has continued to practice its barbaric Bedouin tribe mentality since the 7th century to the present, and actually gives you sort of like super merits if you decide to be a Salafist and live exactly as Muhammad did all the way back in the 600s. So I just think this is repugnant. I think it's long overdue for our politicians to have the conversation as to whether or not Islam belongs in Britain whatsoever. Spoiler alert, no, categorically. You can't be a British Muslim. It's a contradiction in terms. And the first politician that has the courage to stand up and say that will not just be lauded despite the threat to their safety, but also they'll insulate themselves from the political liability that Islam and supporting it has become, because the British public are actually basically sick to the back teeth of the aesthetic crimes, the actual crimes and the costs inflicted upon them by mass Muslim migration that they've always voted against in every election since 1974 and been punished with more migration as a result. And when eventually the dam does break because things just get undeniably awful with likely another terror attack which is looming, the first politician to put their head above the parapet and say this will win over popular support, and all the people that have been running interference for it ever since will have some pretty black marks on their record that they can't walk back.
Well, that's what's so interesting, isn't it, Connor? Because it's not coming, that talk is not coming from Reform UK and from Nigel Farage, who have been very clear. And if anything, after this result last night, they're only going to tack further to the centre. So it's interesting, isn't it, seeing the Conservative Party finally actually talking like small c Conservatives, even though I think I'd struggle to ever vote for them again. I've been very, very open about that, and I didn't at the last election for very obvious reasons. But, you know, Katie Lamb saying the previously unsayable, which is that multiculturalism has failed. What do you think is going to be the consequence of this by-election result, Connor? Because the political class, the elite class, are already saying, and this is what frustrates me so much, well, Reform, they're going to have to move further to the centre. It's like, my God, how further to the centre can they go?
A lot to address there, Dan. I think Dean Dorries is actually wrong, not for the first time, about whether or not there are no tears in Reform about this result, because I know quite a few of the good eggs working in Reform HQ behind the scenes used to work in Welsh politics, and so this will sting for them a little bit because they feel like they know the battleground, that this was a winnable place. When I spoke to a couple of them last year, they said that they were going to play it relatively safe with a Mingvar strategy to carry it across the line in local elections. And they said, well, when we've got Wales out the way and won that, then we can afford to be a bit more bold. And I think this will, as you've said, encourage them to have a bit more of a softening effect on their approach, even though it's the opposite. In terms of being bolder to win England specifically, the Welsh and the Scottish elections are a bit of an anomaly, because what you basically need to run there is not a national party. What you need to run there is an ethnically particular party, but that codes right-wing rather than left-wing. As my friend Carl Benjamin has long said, if you ran the Braveheart Party in Scotland and positioned yourselves as Scottish nationalists, but also had the "and we're not rejoining the EU and we're kicking out all of the awful immigrants that are costing us loads of money," you would win, because the only reason the SNP is winning is because it has patriotic branding on the biscuit tin and then smuggles in gay race communism as its actual modus operandi. As far as the Conservatives sort of pantomiming patriotism, look, there are some good Conservative MPs. Katie Lamb has been phenomenal, and she doesn't have the baggage of the rest of her party because she was only elected in 2024, though she was working as a SPAD for some time with Dominic Cummings, and obviously Nadine has done her work in exposing that incestuous network sort of gravitating around Michael Gove that destroyed the Conservative Party for 14 years. But the likes of Nick Timothy and even Robert Jenrick should be commended for their courage for saying that assimilation and integration has failed. It's probably not on the cards. Islam presents some unique challenges to Britain, and the Boris wave should be going home. But they need to go further, because Robert Jenrick turned around and said in his contentious but correct comments about Birmingham being a third world slum, and said, well, it's nothing to do with the colour of your skin or your religion. It's actually, it is, because unfortunately people recreate the conditions of their homelands either out of spite or out of habit, and if your culture is to dump rubbish in the streets, or if your religion is to sing the call to prayer 5 times a day and turn the suburbs of Birmingham into the streets of Lahore or Islamabad, yeah, it does have to do with your religion and your culture, actually. And so they need to get a stronger line on this if they want to persuade the public that they are able to clean up the mistakes that they themselves made. But I agree with you, Dan. Frankly, I think it's too big an ask. I think the Conservative Party is dead, and I think the people pulling the strings behind the scenes, no matter how good the things that some MPs are saying, are still wedded to that failed ideology of liberal multiculturalism that gave us Kimmy Badenoch and the Boris wave.
They are, but I will support the individual Conservative MPs because I think they are going to start shifting the Overton window. So the ones that I call out at the moment are Robert Jenrick, Katie Lamb and Nick Timothy. Obviously, Suella Braverman as well, and our friend Liz Truss too. Connor, what about the fake news agents? I've got to let you respond to them directly. You know, we just love mass immigration, Connor. Apparently, we've loved it. We've always loved it. It's just the illegal migration that the British public have a problem with. Your response?
No, it's just irregular, Dan. Remember, this is the sleight of hand they always use. They've substituted illegal with irregular because of what they want to do is actually continue battery farming all of these foreign rapists and criminals at our expense who have dumped their documents over the side of a dinghy and probably created a veritable coral reef at the bottom of the channel at this point. What they want is them here. They just want them here with the appropriate documents. Because remember, replacement migration, all of the costs and crimes committed by people that never needed to be in this country in the first place, is just tickety-boo so long as they have the passport that says they're as British as you and me. As far as the idea that we love migration, on the abstract level, no. Lewis actually has this completely inverted. And this is the misunderstanding that, as well, Zack Polanski made in those clips. I think it's willfully misunderstanding by Zack Polanski, who, bear in mind for people, changed his name to be more purposefully Jewish, probably to give his demented Islamo-leftist politics some cover by saying, well, you can't attack me for opening the doors to Muslim anti-Semitism. I'm just as Jewish as anyone. Point being, we don't love immigration in the abstract because we don't love paying for loads of total layabouts from the third world to subsist in social housing, sponge off our benefits, and culturally terraform our home beyond recognition. What some of us like is immigration in the particular, as in some of us have friends and family members who are of different ethnic extractions. Like, as an Englishman, I just sort of take people as I meet them. That is actually my temperament. I don't want to be talking about all of these problems with ethnicity and integration and multiculturalism all day, every day. You know, I've met some nice African Christians. I've met some nice Pakistani and Indian Christians as a common denominator here. But that doesn't mean that these exceptions disprove rules, because otherwise their countries, if everyone in those countries acted like we did, would look like our country. But it doesn't. And so therefore, people don't like immigration in the abstract because of the dire consequences it has when it is practiced at scale. And so it is totally absurd to imply that people want the current state of affairs. Instead, people always voted against it, and people will vote for whoever promises to reverse it.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source. and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.